ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 17th, 2020. Q's up 7.58%, SPY up 5.98. All right, so we did initially try to retest the lows there. Coming into today, we did have a bearish bias. Market gapped up, sold off, or gapped down yesterday, and then today we gapped up a little bit and then sold off, and then came back up to retest the area that we sold off from, and so far we are holding. Okay, so that is going to be the thing to watch for going into tomorrow, is that if we break over today's high, that's 184.39, okay, on the Qs, which is very close to yesterday's high. On the SPY here, it's going to be 256.17. We will have an hourly sell setup failure, okay? Throughout this downtrend, that's what we've been waiting for, right? Is that we fail on a sell setup, which this is right here, right? You can see after the gap down, moved up, and then we put in a series of higher lows and then rolled over. Now we put in another series of higher lows, try to roll over, but actually don't, right? And we end up putting in this base here. So really into the afternoon here, we didn't move too much on the Qs and SPY. Will this be the start of the transition and a potential bottom in the market? That is the confirmation that we're looking for, okay? Because after we failed on the sell setup, we are going to be neutral on the short term. Now the long term, still in this deep decline, deep sell-off, but we are looking more and more like we could be trying to set up a buy setup in the Qs and SPY, okay? It's not going to be a very nice one. Clearly not in the direction of the recent trend, okay? But that's what we're going to be watching for, okay? So the fact that this afternoon here, we're able to base out a bit, right? And we did not follow through on the sell setup quite yet, is going to be kind of the start if there is going to be a potential move higher. So that's what we'll be watching for. Over today's high, we will be neutral, otherwise stay bearish. And then if we get follow through to the upside, next buy setup, all right, will turn us into a short-term bull. Okay, so the next buy setup, we get follow through after taking out today's high. If we get a buy setup or we set up a base and then we break out, that should be a buyable opportunity. That is where we're going to actually switch to a potential bullish bias. Now, as you can tell, I'm still wanting to see a couple things happen, which is we break above today's high and we actually show follow through. We actually get a green bar, right, that gets follow through. Okay, so that actually continues, not just poke above and then get rejected, right? That is going to make us neutral, but not bullish, all right? But if we break above and we are able to hold, okay, then we can start talking about looking for the next bullish setup, okay, on the Qs and SPY. So we are awaiting confirmation that this hourly downtrend is going to end. Now, we've seen it before where it makes the first attempt. Green bar, no follow through. Green bar, right? Green bar here and no follow through. Green bar there and no follow through. Okay, so that's why we're awaiting confirmation. Okay, so can we get follow through to the upside, right? And then we can look for the next pattern. Okay. All right, so a lot of similar stuff from yesterday. Yesterday we talked about the store. Loved this base, how long it spent basing. Really, really nice and tight. We got the same on the DHC. We got the same on the KIN today. So a lot of the same stuff. Actually would have been a nice little flip there. But that's not what I was looking for in this KIN, but sure worked to the upside as well. Really tight base breakdown, and then you're just, as soon as it pops, you're covering. So, you know, as I've been telling the room, you know, automatic trail on these once they trigger. You know, you don't want to be losing more than a couple cents on them if they don't follow through. But otherwise, you know, these have just been great. I mean, store was was the one yesterday that really kind of, and you can see it did the same thing in the morning. I just wasn't even aware of it. Didn't have this on my radar. Didn't find it till later, but had plenty of time to play it and then get in it. I mean, this was open. It may look like it was halted or wasn't trading. It was. That was all the time to kind of get in it. And so I know a lot of people played it yesterday and took advantage of it and really followed through. So, I think if the market does start to turn around, I do expect that we'll get less of these. We had a lot of them today, but because the market was actually up and especially in the morning had a nice rally, a lot of them weren't triggering. Okay. So, while this is what we're getting and what I've been seeing as just the reward to risk being phenomenal on these, we'll have to see if the market transitions, they may be a lot less frequent because they've kind of been just the best things to play lately. And so, we'll see what we get, how things are going to be different tomorrow. If the market ends up, maybe poking above and coming right back in, or we get another large gap down, anything like that, the market's showing weakness, I think, those are the opportunities to go after. And if you've been in the room, you've also likely been able to take advantage of them as well. Okay, so yeah, really key what we did today. Nowadays, like 7-8% moves in the market are not uncommon. I mean, earlier in the year or end of last year, 7-8% in the market from like the previous day was pretty rare and unheard of. And so, yeah, we've been moving a lot. Obviously, the increase in volatility, right, is presenting us with all these opportunities. So I hope you're doing well. All right, but we will be watching the market, all right, to see if it wants to try to continue this transition. You can see it's trying. I think it does look kind of most like it on the 15, but you can see the 15 has done something similar before and hasn't been able to sustain the transition. So the real test will be if we can somehow get the hourly to start trending upward, okay, and then that'll be our cue that it's time to give this market a shot to the long side. Okay? All right, hope you're doing well. All right, that's going to do it for today's market wrap, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good evening.